to meet today, but the mode of meeting has changed from face-to-face to online. So I think from today onwards till end of the semester, we are going to have just one mode of teaching delivery, that is online. All right, but mind you that when we are going to have our midterm exam, as I mentioned to you and agreed upon, that our midterm exam will be held on the when is it? I think on the 8th of May 8th of May 2023. That's going to be face to face, right? Face to face, which is online. The venue, I will let it know later. I haven't checked with the academic session which of the classroom is available on the 8th of May. So once it is available and is confirmed, then I'll get back to you. I will revert back to you and inform you accordingly as to the venue of the midterm exam. Can you hear me or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Yes,
Is it
sir.
clear or not?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So that is number one, midterm exam. Take note, then be prepared for it. As for the chapters covered, it's going to be from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, which we covered last week, and today's chapter, which is chapter 5 on process innovation. So all in all, there will be 5 chapters that will be asked in the midterm exam. Most of these, I think all of these slides pertaining to all those chapters have been uploaded on the VLE. So please visit your VLE, and then if there is a need for you to download the slides, then please do so. It would be better for you to have the hard copy of the slides, and by having it, perhaps you can make your own notes. Then that will be helpful for you to at least answer the questions later, right? That is number one, midterm exam. Number two is pertaining to, or with regards to case study. One of the students, one of your colleague, did ask me what you are supposed to do, right? Number one, you have to prepare these slides, regardless of the number of pages of your case study is 16 or 17 or 8 or whatever is the number. You have to prepare these slides. You have to prepare the slides, and the number of slides shouldn't be more than 15. Shouldn't be more than 15 slides. 15 slides. That will be better. That includes the summary of your case study. That includes the summary of the case study, and the rest you have to refer to the rubrics, the items that are required for you to present in class. You have to follow strictly the rubrics which I have attached to the hard copy of the case studies. Okay? So that is about case study, and we will start. You will, not we, I think you. You will start presenting your case study from week 11. We'll start from group 1, followed by group 2 and group 3. So for the first class, inshallah, we will be having 3 different groups presenting 3 different case studies. So we start from, again, I repeat myself, we're going to start from group 1, group 2, and group 3. So please be prepared for it, so, especially the group leader of the respective group. So make sure you work on the given case study together with your group members. So please make sure your group leader that none of your group members are free rider, okay, free rider, because all of the group members are required to present. It is not you, the group leader is supposed to do the presentation. All of the group members. I repeat once again that all of the group members are required. If there are 4, 5, or 3 even, each of you, each of the group member has to present their part. Okay, so therefore, group leader, you have to divide the work. If your group members are 5, then you have to divide the works into 5. 5 of 4. Each of your group member has to work on one component, one section, one item of the case study. So it is your wisdom. You should use your wisdom to divide the work in such a way that all of your group members, she or he has something to work on. So that is again your responsibility. A group leader, that is your responsibility. I will not ask the group members. I will straight away go to the group leader, if anything happens. If your group can't make the presentation, I will get you. I will catch you. I will get you. I will catch you. I will ask you. You should be responsible. Any question related to midterm and case study?
No, sir.
Any question? Any comments?
Sir, midterm is next week, is it?
Not next week. Not next week. It's going to be on the 8th of May.
It's on the 8th?
Yes, on the 8th of May.
Okay.
It's not going to be next week. Next week, I think today is 17. Next week will be 24th, right? So not next week. Okay, any other question? And yeah, please, if you have anything to ask, do not ask using my. You have to use the group. Make use of the group, WhatsApp group, to ask any questions. Do not make it personal between me and you. I will not, as much as possible. I will try not to treat each of you personally. I would like to treat all of you in group. See, so you post it on in our group WhatsApp, then I will respond to whatever issue that I have to address using that was our WhatsApp group. I don't like to treat each of you personally. Okay, so please, you have anything to ask, to comment, to share, then make sure that you use our WhatsApp group. Right? That will be better. So that whatever information that I have to relay to you, the message that I have to put across to all of you, then that there will be only one channel, which is the our WhatsApp group. I don't have to have. I don't actually like to have several channels of communication between you and me. So it suffice for us, enough for us just to have one channel, one and only channel. All right. Other channel is, I think, if you think that is too personal, then perhaps you might use my email. Better. Okay, email would be more formal. Okay, having said that, if you don't have any other questions, then I will straight away go to the lecture. All right, I will not take more than 1 hour today. More than 1 hour and 50 minutes for today. If less than 1 hour 15, that will be better. That you can be rest assured that I'm not going to take much of your time, because of one or two reasons, right? One reason is that the midterm will cover only 5 chapters. So I'll cover this chapter. This chapter is not that lengthy, only 10 slides. But the other thing that you have to go back to our WhatsApp group, and you have to have the e-copy, the soft copy of the selected chapters. Okay, because today I'm going to use 4 different figures from chapter 5, from chapter on process innovation. So it is I've already posted it on our WhatsApp. Then please get it from the WhatsApp. So I'm going to refer to those 4 of the figures today. All right. With that, I think I'll share with you the slides. This my chapter is chapter 5, but according to the textbook, if you refer to the textbook and the chapter which I've posted on the our WhatsApp group, it is chapter 4. Okay, chapter 4. My slides, chapter 5 or lecture 5, if you like. And as far as the textbook is concerned, it is chapter 4. The title of which is process innovation. Last week I did explain to you the 2 types of not 2 types actually, 2 forms of innovation. One is process innovation, which we are going to cover today, and the other one is product innovation, which we will cover in 2 weeks from now. I think next week is going to be holiday, I think. So there will be no class next week. Sorry, mid-semester, inter-semester break. Then there will be no class. The next class I will cover chapter 5 or chapter 6 or lecture 6 of the syllabus. So apart from that, I did also discuss with you the 3 different types of innovation. So these are the main things that you have to grasp. You have to comprehend the distinction between forms of innovation and types of innovation. Okay, so these are the things that you have to be aware of. Do not mix these 2 things up. When we talk about forms of innovation, you have to be clear that there are only 2 forms of innovation. But for types of innovation, perhaps more than 3. The ones that I mentioned last week were only 3, right? So probably you can extend it. You can add to the list of the types of innovation. All right, so I'll leave it to you that one, but I will just limit myself to 3 different types of innovation. But coming back to this one, just to reiterate or to refresh your mind, that pure process innovation, you can refer to the slides, but later on you have to refer to the textbook, the soft copy of the textbook. A pure process innovation involves simple changes in the way product is made without changing the product itself. There is no significant improvements as far as the product is concerned. It's just a minor or similar, just a small innovation which certainly not involve major changes, right? Significant level of improvements as far as the product is concerned, right? This is I did give you the example last week, like this one, right? Megabyte to gigabyte. The phone remained the same, but the process of the or the capability or the ability of the phone to work perhaps is better than it used to be. So this is when we talk about a process innovation. In practice, many process innovations are not pure, where a new improved process often led to incidental improvements in the product. So this is the example, and there were few examples which I gave you last week. So please refer to the examples and make sure that when you discuss this thing in the examination, it has to be followed by giving examples. Okay. All right, process innovations and cost condition, because this is economics, all right? This is economy. We are not only interested in describing or in knowing the definition of this form of innovation, but when we bring in the economics element, we have to talk about different type of costs. Okay, we change one cost. What will happen to the process innovation? You have to recall the lessons that you had learned from your principles of economics or principles of microeconomics specifically, whereby when we talk about cost, there are three major costs that you have to remember, or you have to know. One of which is the total cost. Okay, total cost. And number two is average cost, or some economists they call it average total cost, average total cost, and also marginal cost. These are the three different types of costs that you have to know as far as this subject is concerned. Okay, so these three different types of costs will be used extensively, especially in this chapter and the few subsequent chapters. So we'll talk about total cost, marginal cost, and also average total cost. But in this textbook, they don't call it average total cost. They simply call it average cost. In fact, these two terms can be used interchangeably between average cost and average total cost. So now coming back to this slide, slide number 2, we are in slide number 2, the economic effects of a process innovation and what it does to production costs can be shown using the related cost curves like total, average, and marginal. So in along the process, along the discussion, we will make few assumptions. Okay? We will change, we will assume that fixed costs remain unchanged, and marginal cost changes. So things like that. So we'll just manipulate or play with the costs. There are 4 different types of process innovation and their associated effects on cost curve, and they are as follows. So there are 4 types of process innovation. Okay, when we relate it, when we associate it with economics, then particularly cost, then we can divide the types of process innovation into 4, right? Into 4. So these the 4. Number 1 is a reduction in fixed costs, which has no change in marginal cost. Okay, a reduction in fixed costs. Reduction here means the fixed cost will decrease, but it will not in any way affect the marginal cost. Okay, perhaps what will be affected here in this case will be the average cost. Yeah? Average cost. Fixed cost, I should remind you once again that fixed cost, total cost comprises of 2 other costs, right? One is fixed cost and the other one is variable. So in this case, fixed cost perhaps refers to a plant or instruments that is used as part of the inputs, all right? This is an example of fixed cost, but for variable costs, there are many, but normally we will refer to labor. Labor could be regarded as one of the variable costs. So these are the 2 things that you have to remember. Okay, fixed cost, it is actually, we are referring actually to plant or instruments. But for variable costs, we are actually referring to labor. All right. This is a basic capital saving innovation. Okay, capital saving innovation, because we are fixed cost here is capital, so therefore it is associated. The type of innovation is associated in this case with capital saving. So this could be a reduction in the cost of essential piece of capital, equipment, example computer, which will give rise to an innovation that reduces the economies of scale. Economies of scale, you have to refer to the textbook. I think in simple way, economies of scale can be explained as mass production. Okay, and what happens to the average total cost? You increase more and more output of a product, then what will happen to what effect it has on the average total cost or average cost? So this is what we mean by economies of scale. This allows the small scale company a better chance to enter and survive in the market. Okay, so this is economies of scale. It is related to capital intensive, capital saving. Capital intensive and capital saving is almost the same thing, right? Capital saving and capital intensive. They are more or less the same thing. So this one, if this is the case, then perhaps this will permit or allows the small company a better chance to enter and survive in the market. Right? You have any question, just let me know, right? If there's no question, then I'll proceed to the next slide. Number two, reduction in marginal cost with no change in the fixed cost. So what is the difference between the first one? The first one, it talks about a reduction in fixed cost, right? No change in marginal cost. Marginal cost is constant, but there is a change in fixed cost. But number two, okay, a reduction in marginal cost, which is the opposite, the opposite of the opposite to the first case, the first type of process innovation, with no change in fixed cost. This is a basic input saving innovation. The first one, capital saving innovation. This one is input saving innovation, where it involves a reduction in the use of raw materials, inputs, or an increase in the efficiency with which raw materials inputs are turned into final product. Hence, economies of scale prevails. Okay, so I will explain in a greater detail when I'll share with you the figure, the diagram for this one. Not only for this one, but others as well. Number three, this is the third type of process innovation, the reduction in marginal cost, accompanied by an increase in fixed costs. Okay, reduction both will vary. Both type of cost will change. Marginal cost changes as well as fixed costs. Right. This is a typical characteristic of many process innovation when a labor-intensive process is replaced by capital-intensive process. Fixed costs increase, but marginal costs fall. Okay? Fixed costs increase, so because you replace labor with capital, then and as I told you just now, fixed cost is related to capital, then fixed cost in this case will increase, but marginal cost will fall. Okay, you use more and more equipment, and then perhaps the marginal cost will fall gradually. Okay, will fall gradually, and if the two effects are taken together, will lead to increased economies of scale. So you can produce more, and the average total cost will be reduced. And the last one is a reduction in the marginal cost and additional of an additional model. This is very close to scope economics. Scope, not skill economics. Scope economics. This tends to generate economies of scope rather than economies of scale. As I mentioned to you last week, that when we talk about economies of scope, then same product, but we have the producer produces two or three varieties of the same product, right? Same product. Television, for example, you have flat television or curved television or LED televisions. It remains, it is the core business is actually television, but you have a series or varieties of television, so which will be to the advantage of the customers, because if you have more series, more varieties of a product, then customers can have more choices, and that will lead to them able to increase their level of satisfaction. So this is, we talk about the value of your money, okay? Value of your money. Rather than economies of scale, it implies a reduction in marginal cost of producing additional variety of output. See, an additional variety of output, same product, but one or two more varieties of the same product. This is explanation for each type of process innovation. Now we have to refer to figure 4.1, specifically page 39. Okay, you have to refer to page 39. If you look at, if you refer to page 39 and specifically figure 4.1, it is on process innovation that reduces fixed costs, right? You want me to share the figure or not, or you can straight away refer to your to the one which I had shared with you.
Share.
Which one? You want me to share or what?
So share, sir.
Yes.
Oh, okay, you want me to share again?
Yep.
So this one I have to unshare. This is the figure that I'm referring to. I'm talking about. This is the figure process innovation that reduces fixed cost, which is the first type of process innovation. I'm referring to. I'm using the word type, okay, but not types of innovation. You have to be able to make a distinction between type of innovation and types of process innovation. Okay? The one that I'm referring to here is one type of process innovation. I'm not talking about one type of innovation. Type of innovation, we are referring to incremental, radical, or architectural type of innovation. That one we put aside first. Our focus should be on the type of process innovation. This is the first type. All in all, there are 4 types of process innovation. I'm referring to, I'm showing and I'm sharing with you the first type of process innovation. So this is the figure. Look at here. This is upsloping. Curve is the marginal cost. Okay, marginal cost. It is proportional. This is linear. Okay, linear increases in the marginal cost. But as far as the average cost is concerned, because it is on the assumption that marginal cost is assumed not to have undergone, not to undergo any change. Therefore, the shape of the marginal cost will be like this. Okay, see, upsloping linear. But for the average cost, it changes, right? It changes from average cost 0 to average cost 1. So we are interested to know what happens to the quantity produced, right? So when it is assumed that marginal cost constant, and while average cost varies or changes, then you'll see that the first point of intersection is if average cost 0 and marginal cost, which is here, right? This is the first point of intersection, and with this quantity of output produced, right? This much of quantity of output produced, right? This much. But when there is a decrease or a reduction in the average cost, which leads to the shift in the average cost from average cost 0 to average cost 1, then what you see, so there will be the quantity of output produced will be slightly less. So from Q, it's not clear here, but this is from like Q0 to Q1. Okay, so this is the implication, the economy implication of the changes of the change in the average cost from average cost 0 to average cost 1 is there will be a reduction in the quantity of this product produced from Q0 to Q1. So therefore, the point of equilibrium or equilibrium point or point of intersection will obviously change, right? Will automatically change from this point to this point. Okay. This explanation, the short explanation is available here, and we see that the average cost curve is pushed downwards, downward shift, downwards, particular at lower levels of production. It's a lower level of production, since we know that the marginal cost always cuts the in the examination. Make sure that the marginal cost curve is drawn in such a way that it cuts from below. It has to the marginal cost cuts from below the average cost. Okay? In this case, it's very clear from this figure. From below. From the below at minimum average cost. Minimum average cost. It is not any point along the average cost, but it has to be. It has to cut from the minimum point. Okay, minimum, the lowest point of the average cost. That one, you have this thing. You have to be careful in examination. You shouldn't use your common sense as long as it is along any point along the average cost. It is okay. No, it is not okay. It has to cut, the marginal cost curve has to cut from below at the minimum point, minimum level, minimum point of average cost or average total cost. So this process innovation reduces the minimum efficient scale, reduces minimum efficient MES, and hence reduces economies of scale. Economies of scale means this is the previously the amount of the units of output produced was at Q0. Now it is at Q1. This is economies of scale. Okay. All right. I will unshare this. Number two, refer to figure 4.2, which is page 40. And here the reduction in MC affects the average cost. Specifically, the reduction in marginal cost as shown by the rotation of MC curve 0 to MC curve 1 will not push the average cost curve downwards. Okay, AC curve remain unshifted. That is from AC. That is the AC curve does not change, right? Does not shift. Does not change at all. It remains at AC 0. So in this case, the process of innovation increases. The MEC, which is the MES, is minimum efficient scale. MES stands for minimum efficient scale, and hence increases the economies of scale. So I will again unshare this thing, then I will share the figure with you. Okay, this is the figure, right? Somehow I think this figure has some small problem, which I will highlight later. Along the discussion, I will highlight the problem, the specific problem with this figure. But our main concern here, we should focus on the shift in the rotation or shift of the marginal cost curve from MC0 to MC1. While the average cost curve is assumed not to change, right? This is on the assumption. The second type of process innovation is built upon the assumption that marginal cost change while average cost remained constant. So now the marginal cost curve has rotated from not shift actually, because they are still sharing one common point here. So at point 0, they are sharing the same thing. So it is not the issue of M marginal cost shift. It is rotates clockwise. In this case, is clockwise, right? From M0 to MC0 to MC1. If it is from MC1 to MC0, it is anti-clockwise, right? Anti-clockwise. But in this case, this is the rotation is clockwise rotation of marginal cost. So look at here, the original, the initial point of intersection is here, this point, which is Q0, right? Q0. So this is the level of production is attained at, or is achieved at this one. I don't know what's the problem with this. Okay, so here Q0, and then marginal cost rotates clockwise from marginal cost 0 to marginal cost 1. What happens is it's actually here, right? It's actually here, not here, because if it is here means we assume that average cost will also change, right? But if you look at refer to the second type of process innovation, it is assumed that only marginal cost changes, but average cost remains unchanged. So this is, I think, this is where the problem lies, where the problem originates. Originates is from this one. We shouldn't have in this case this average cost 1 here. We should have only one average cost, which is here, average cost 0 only. So this should be here. So look at that one, and the explanation is below here. We see the average cost curve is pushed downward. This is not the case, particularly at higher levels of production, since we know that marginal cost always cuts the average cost curve from below at the minimum average cost. We can say that this process innovation increases the minimum efficiency. Yes, it increases, but the point is not here, right? It has to be here. Minimum efficient scale and hence increases economies of scale. So that is number two, the second type of process innovation. The third type of process innovation is here. Sorry, should have shared this one. Right. Slide number 5, explanation for the each type of solution. Next is this one. And number 3, refer to figure 4.3, page 41. Note that while labor-intensive process has a low intercept, zero fixed cost, I will explain to you, and steep slope, high MC, capital-intensive process has high intercept, a high fixed cost, and less steep slope of MC. At the lowest, at the low scale of production, the labor-intensive process is preferred as to the as the output is produced at lower costs. So then, however, beyond certain level of production, the capital-intensive process is preferred. Note also that the boundary between the two types of process innovation is marked by a vertical line where to the left of the line, labor-intensive process is preferred, and to the right of the line, the capital-intensive process is preferred. Okay, so that is the explanation there. In sentence, it is explained like that, but I'm going to use my own words, my own way to explain it to you once the figure is shared with you later. Okay, this is the figure that I'm referring to. I'm referring to. In process innovation that increases capital intensiveness. Few things that I have to highlight. Number one is this is the labor intensive average cost, right? So this is because fixed cost is here, and this one is we do not know what is the value of the fixed cost here, but it is obviously higher than the fixed cost of the labor intensive. Labor intensive has no fixed cost. Labor is not associated with fixed fixed cost. Fixed cost is fixed cost, but labor cost is fixed cost is capital cost, but labor cost is not related at all with fixed cost. So they have zero here, labor cost, labor fixed cost is zero, and and this is the demarcation line, which separating labor intensive from capital intensive. Okay. Beyond this line, beyond this point, the preferred technology or preferred innovation is capital intensive. Anything that is to the left of this vertical line, the labor intensive is preferred to capital intensive. So this is the demarcation line, or the line that separates intensive capital intensive and labor intensive. This fixed cost is associated, is related to capital intensive. Okay, this is certain amount of certain value of fixed cost incurred. Fixed cost incurred if the type of technology is capital intensive like this. And this is the marginal cost, right? The dotted line here, this dotted line, marginal cost belongs to labor intensive. But this one is, this dotted line here belongs to capital intensive, right? So this is again the what do you call this? This is the turning point. Okay, this is the turning point. Whether or not to use labor intensive or capital intensive will be at this point. Okay, and with this level of production. Okay. So the more that you want to produce, I think this is quite logical. Okay, common sense will say that. This I'm talking about, because this is not being explained in the textbook. Then we have to use our simple logic, common sense, to explain this kind of thing. It is quite obvious if you go to any factory or any types of firms, whenever they want to produce more output, they cannot rely simply on labor to produce more and more output, units of output, because labor cannot work beyond a worker cannot work beyond certain number of hours, because they will be hectic, they will be tired, they will get they can easily get tired. But if they are asked to work more than certain number of hours in a day, but for in the case of machine, the machine will not tell you that I'm exhausted or I'm tired of doing this thing. You can push the machine to work beyond certain hours, right? But you can push the machine to work beyond certain required hours if you want to produce more. So that is why, in this case, you can see very clearly that whenever you want to produce beyond this point, you have no option but, you have no other option but to use more machine. Okay, then to produce more beyond this level of production, you have no other option but to use more machine. So therefore, you have to opt for capital intensive, and it is more efficient. Not only more efficient, it is also less cost incurred. So therefore, beyond this point, capital intensive technology is preferred to labor intensive technology. If you produce less than this point, then the best technology perhaps would be labor intensive, because by forcing the labor to work certain number of hours, they can produce good results. Yeah? But beyond this, no way. All right. So that is the some explanation, I think, which is close to our heart, close to the reality. Yeah? And it's just about using common sense to explain this. Okay, that is this is number 3, the third types of process innovation. Okay. The labor intensive process has a low intercept, zero, say low intercept, this is intercept here. Zero fixed cost, this is zero fixed cost here, zero fixed cost, and a steep slope, high, marginal cost. This is marginal cost, right? The dotted line here is marginal cost. The capital intensive process is a high intercept. This is the intercept for capital intensive, which is here. This is the fixed cost. High intercept, high fixed cost, and shallow slope, which is here. The slope is not that steep. The steepness of the slope is not as steep as marginal cost of labor intensive. Okay, this is very steep, right? It's very sensitive to. It is not sensitive actually. It is the slope of the marginal cost here is not that steep. So it means that it means that you increase the production, and it will not have any significant impact on the cost here. Okay, cost here, the cost, total cost. Okay, so it will not affect the total cost here. But here this is very sensitive. Okay, you change here. Okay, change, you increase the production, then there will be slight increase in the total cost, right? Total cost. The labor-intensive process, as drawn, has constant returns to scale as the total cost line is straight line. Total costs are proportional to scale of production, and hence average cost is constant. The capital-intensive process, when it is efficient to use it, reduce economies of scale, and hence average cost starts to fall. Okay, that is number 4. Number 3. Number 4, the last one, the last type of process innovation is this one. Okay, you have the 4th one. We refer to figure 4.4, the textbook. And this is economies of scope, not economies of scale. Economies of scope is illustrated by efficiency formed by variety of output products. It has to be more than one product, one output, not volume. Volume means the capacity, the capacity of the firm to produce more outputs of one product, of a product, of one product. But now we are talking about more output of more than one product. This is economies of scope. This is realized by reducing the MC of output variability. Vertical axis represents the total cost of production or producing a given number of products, say N. So the horizontal axis represents the number of different varieties among the N products, with the point of origin represents all products are the same. As we move rightward, the variety of products and models increases in numbers. So I will share with you the figure. To the left of the vertical axis, if flexible, the production technology enjoys lower FC but high MC per brand model, or lower intercept but steep slope. On the contrary, to the right of the vertical line, flexible, the production technology enjoys higher FC but lower MC per brand, or higher intercept but flatter slope. So thus we can conclude that while little variety is required, the flexible process is preferred as it is more efficient, and vice versa. Again, the demarcation line separating the two processes is the vertical line, right? So that's the explanation. But let me explain it using my own words. This is figure 4.4, right? It's more or less is the same as the previous one, the third type of process innovation, with one exception. Okay, the horizontal axis is not output. It is not output. The production. Okay, 4.3. The horizontal axis is production. Okay, which is units. But here it is not units. Okay, it is number of models, because we are talking about economies of scope. Economies of scope is model, not production. Other than that, it is the same thing. But the other thing that is different is this is inflexible and this one is flexible. Before we saw this is labor intensive and this one is capital intensive, right? Okay, so be careful. This is inflexible and this one is flexible. So if you use inflexible type of process innovation like this, then if you want to produce more models up to this point, this is the demarcation line here, is separating inflexible to flexible here. So you want to produce less number of models. The most efficient way is for you to use the inflexible way, right? And with this fixed cost, there's no fixed cost, zero fixed cost here. Right? But if you want to produce more number of models, then you have to use the flexible type of process innovation. Okay, so with the same consequences as before, right? So this one. The inflexible production enjoys lower fixed, which is zero here, but high marginal cost, which is here. Marginal cost is high per brand or model. The corresponding cost line has a lower intercept, but steeper slope. By contrast, the flexible production technology has a higher fixed cost, which is here, as before, higher fixed cost here, but enjoys a lower marginal cost, which is marginal cost here is here. When the marginal cost is here, right? It's marginal cost per brand or model. The corresponding line, cost line has a high intercept but a flatter slope. When little variety is required, the flexible process is the more efficient. When much variety is required, the flexible process is preferred. As in figure 4.3, the switch over occurs at the vertical line, which is here, vertical line in the middle of figure 4.4. These are perhaps the four simplest forms of process innovation. However, no discussion on basic economic analysis of process innovation would be complete without three further categories. So this one I'm not going to discuss, right? Not going to discuss. Four more slides to go. Right, this one, economies of scale and scope. Broadly defined, economies of scale occurs when average cost declines as the scale of production increases. Example, this is the example of economies of scale. Example, consider the production of a product X. If the cost of producing n units of X is C, okay, this is the cost of producing n units of X is C, and the cost of producing 2n, you double the X here, of X is less. The cost of producing double n units of X is less than C. Okay, so this you produce N, the cost is C, but you produce double the number, double the volume, then the cost is less than C. So this means the economies of scale exists. Okay, in this case, economies of scale is said to have existed. But on the other hand, economies of scope come about when average cost declines as the scale of production increases, even if increased production consists of new brands or models. Example, consider the production of Y, which is similar to product X, but not identical. In the cost, if the cost of producing N units of X alone is C, like before, and the cost of producing N unit of X alone is C, same, right? But the cost of producing N units of X and N units of Y together, combine it, is less than 2C, then there are economies of scope. You produce, say, as I mentioned to you, the example which I gave you the other day, what do you call this? Goat or sheep, right? Again, you can use the wool and also the meat of sheep or of a goat. So this is you produce these two products simultaneously, concurrently. If you produce meat of or mutton, for example, mutton alone, the cost will be X, right? If you produce wool alone, it will cost you Y. Okay, so you produce because these two things are it is assumed to it is assumed not to be related, right? But if you produce the wool and mutton together, the cost will be less. If that is if the cost of production is less than 2C here, this is the case of economies of scope. Okay, so this is important. This is same product. Okay, the same product, product X, the first one, you double the volume. But this one, you produce two products, and then you did not double the product, but you increase the number of the variety of the product. So this is economies of scope. All right, as for the economies of scale, there are two generic types of scale economy, namely physical and financial, or pecuniary or monetary. The former type, which is physical of scale economy, arises because of substantial fixed costs. Economies of scale or common fixed costs. Economies of scope help the production processes to be more efficient when run on a large scale. Okay? This is physical types of scale economy. Okay, but the pecuniary or monetary or financial refers to this one. When large firm uses its size to negotiate lower input prices, cost minimization, it is i.e. maintaining the same level of output, or it can use market power to set higher output prices, profit maximization, maintaining the same input process. So when we talk about pecuniary or monetary, we are actually referring to price, okay? Price of inputs, input price, or you can also lower the input price, but you maintain the same level of output. But you can, in addition to that, you can also use your market power to set the higher output price. This one is input price, but this one is output price. If you happen to be the market leader, you will decide on the output, the price of the output. Then you can increase your profit. You can maximize your profit, but maintaining the same input prices. So these are the two generic types of scale economy. Slide number 9, learning curve. It is a particular but dynamic sort of scale economy. It arises from a history of production rather than the current scale of production. When we talk about learning curve, we are not actually referring to the current scale of production. We are actually referring to the history of scale of production. Our experience, our past experience, which will be used in a way. We use our past experience to enhance our ability to produce output, to produce a product. This is learning curve. So sometimes our learning curve is a long one. Okay, which means it means that it takes us a longer period for us to learn something from our previous experience. Right, takes us very long time. Yeah, consume a lot of our time to learn something new. So this is it depends. Okay, some firms will take shorter time for them to enhance their ability to produce more output, but some others will take a longer time. So it is actually affecting your learning curve, the length of your learning curve. The learning curve principle asserts that the unit output, which is this one, is average cost of production for a product, declines when the accumulated experience of production of the product. Example, less number of hours is required to produce the same level of output, or this is less hours, okay, number of hours, or the same number of hours can double the production of output. This is one of the ways here. Technically, it can be explained as follows. The unit cost, or AC, the average cost of production, is designated or expected to fall by X% with each doubling of the cumulative volume of production of the product. So you double the product, the production of the product, but the average cost falls, a decrease in the average cost, but you can double the volume of production. So this is learning curve. Last slide for today. Innovation and scale economies. It is argued that technological change or innovation tends on average to increase economies of scale and hence lead to increase in industrial concentration. More specifically, with reference to industrial concentration, the process innovation frequently leads to greater economies of scale, where some product innovations may open up niche markets for smaller firms to be more competitive. Last subtopic for today is generic type of process innovation. The example is that just like Maggi, right? This is when we talk about instant noodle, normally we'll refer to Maggi. No, instant noodle does not necessarily mean Maggi. Okay, you have so many Indomie. Okay, you name it. I do not know many of the brand names, but Maggi normally when we talk about instant noodle, we always refer to Maggi, but it is not true, right? This is generic or generic medicine. Medicine, we have two. One is the original medicine, and the other one is generic. So the original one is much more expensive than the generic. And some of the examples are here. Business model innovation, a plan for successful business operation. Example is video game industry, from bulky to handy. Okay, this is business model innovation. The generic, okay, generic, we're talking about the same thing, but the product has undergone significant improvement. Number two is marketing innovation, implementation of a new marketing methods, ideas, or strategy. So this is your area, right? So if you want to market your product, then you have to be innovative, right? You cannot use one way of doing marketing. You have to branch out. You have to use several ways to market your product. This is called marketing innovation. Buy one, free one, for example. This is marketing innovation. Buy one, free two. Buy three, less 30%. Things like that. Simple marketing innovation. Supply chain, the third one is supply chain innovation, the new way of how products, information, work, and funds flow. In agricultural sector, from farm to table type of supply chain innovation. It's just like one-stop center. Okay, we don't have to talk, we don't have to have a very long supply chain, right? So suffice for you, a firm, a company, or an owner of a company to have one-stop center. So you can have anything there. You can have the final product as well as the intermediate product or whatever. Okay, by going to the one-stop center, you can resolve all of your problems. The fourth one is organizational innovation, introduction of something new to organization like service, technology, the after-sales service. This is organizational innovation, right? This is one of the example of organizational innovation, the after-sales service. All right, I think I'm done for today, unless you have questions. You have questions to ask related to process innovation? I promise not to take more than 1 hour, 15 minutes. It's now close to 1 hour, 15 minutes. Okay, any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Right.
So far,
Well, then,
okay, yes, sir.
all right, then please be prepared with your phone to scan the QR code. Okay, please scan.
Sir,
Yeah.
I cannot scan my attendance.
Your name, please.
Zarif Hanafi.
Lena.
Zarif Hanafi.
Others are, you are done with your
Sir,
attendance.
me too.
Okay.
Siti Murni.
One by one. Right.
Sorry.
Those who have scanned, you can leave the class, okay? The session. Those who have scanned, you can leave the
Sir,
session.
can you scan my name, sir?
Yeah, I will do it. Listen to my
Alright.
announcement, okay? Yeah, those who have scanned, you can leave the class, so that those who have you couldn't scan, then remain in the session. Do not leave the session.
Thank you, sir.
All right.